Alright, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Strange Oddities Podcast. I am your host, Matthew J. Haas. Welcome to another show. Appreciate everybody tuning in, watching, listening, wherever you're watching. I much appreciate it. Guys, don't forget you can subscribe to my YouTube channel on YouTube. Click on the right little bell at the top right corner of the screen. Click on that, subscribe to the show, and that can get you to subscribe to the show and keep up to date with upcoming information about the show. Folks, you can also follow us on Facebook, Strange Oddities Podcast on Facebook. You can also follow us on our website. We have an official website announcement. Our announcement is it's going to be Strange Oddities Podcast /WordPress.com. Okay, that's pretty easy to remember. Alright, so that's Strange Oddities Podcast /WordPress.com. We do have a website. Alright, guys, I can't stress enough, if the audio or video is bad, please let me know. Private message me if you're connected to me. If you're not, there is a chat room. Guys, it's not fancy, it's not much, but it's there. It lets me communicate with my listeners and viewers. Those who watch can participate in the chat room. You can let me know either way there, comment on the video. Guys, if the audio and video is terrible, please let me know. Alright, that'd be great. So I have a great topic, terrifying topic tonight. With everything going on, I thought, why not have this kind of topic? Could zombies be real? I hope not. I really hope not. I'm a big fan of zombie movies. I love all kinds of zombie movies. There's different types. My wife and I are a big fan of The Walking Dead. My family is. We're avid watchers of The Walking Dead. We love Negan and his character, a bunch of other characters like Rick Grimes and Daryl and a whole bunch of other people, Michonne, Maggie, and all those great characters in The Walking Dead. There's other zombie-like movies out there. Night of the Living Dead, of course, the original black and white that was done a long time ago by George Romero. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him in person before he passed away. My wife and I went to the Chiller Theater, got his autograph, took a picture with him. That was pretty cool. He's a very tall guy, very tall man with big eyeglasses. But he's a very nice he was a nice gentleman, George Romero, and I really enjoyed his movies, his horror movies. I thought he did really good depicting zombies and stuff like that. I don't know, I was a big fan of George Romero and his movies, so I don't know about anybody else. Let's see, what other movies? 28 Days Later. That was a great movie. YouTube is now saying I have a good connection, which is good. It's like in and out. We've had video is lagging. Yeah, I know. My wife is in the chat room. She's helping moderate the chat room. Josie Haas is in there. She's letting me know how it is. Yeah. The video is lagging, I believe. I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or a weather thing, but I didn't touch any settings. All the settings were fine. YouTube keeps telling me, I have a good connection, then it goes back to saying that I have some lag, so hopefully it'll clear up. But moving right along, audio is good, so that's more important, that people can hear me, obviously. Hopefully it'll clear up. 28 Days Later was a really interesting take on zombies. It was different. Going to give you a little synopsis if you haven't seen the movie 28 Days Later. It was a group of misguided animal rights activists free a caged chimp infected with the rage virus from a medical research lab. Sound familiar? When London bike courier Jim Cillian Murphy wakes up from a coma a month after, kind of reminds you of The Walking Dead, how that started, he finds his city all but deserted, on the run from zombie-like victims of the rage. Jim stumbles upon a group of survivors, including Selena and a cab driver, Frank, and joins them on a perilous journey to what he hopes will be safety. So, I really liked 28 Days Later. There was also a sequel. I think that could be a more realistic situation if there was ever a zombie apocalypse. If there was a virus type of ordeal that would make people like a zombie type state or dead state, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. What would you do? Here's a question. What would you do if there was a zombie apocalypse? How would you protect yourself? Where would you go? Where would you hide? Where would you stay? What survival techniques would you consider if there was a real zombie apocalypse? So those are the type of things you can hit me up in the chat room with if you like. I'm friendly. I don't bite unless you want me to, and then you turn into a zombie. So I have a real, actually terrifying story that inspired, if anybody's seen the classic horror movie called Serpent and the Rainbow. It had Bill Pullman in it. Bill Pullman was in quite a few movies. He's a great actor. He was in Independence Day. He played the president. He was also in Lake Placid, where that big alligator was in the lake eating people, and the alligator was huge. He was just a little abnormally large. And it was funny because the actress that plays Betty White is in The Golden Girls, and it's like unheard of that she would play a role like that in that kind of movie, Lake Placid. But that was a very good movie. Anyway, but I'm talking about Bill Pullman. He's a good actor. He was in Serpent and the Rainbow when he was younger, obviously. It was in the 80s. Serpent and the Rainbow was about a voodoo doctor or voodoo priestess that brought people back from the dead. They put them in a zombie state, like trance. They were people who had diseases, people who were sick, all different kinds of things. They would go to these people and they would try to, put them through this weird state or trance. And then when they brought them back, they were cured or almost cured or better. But at the time of this trance or state, they were actually considered by a medical doctor with years of, being in the medical field, pronounced them dead. They were officially dead. So again, YouTube just keeps flashing me. That's why I keep looking at the screen over there, because it keeps telling me that my connection is good on and off. So, hopefully it clears up. So, baby, did it clear up at all? I'm hoping, on your end, if it cleared up, let me know. It says I have an excellent connection now. Hopefully the lagging stopped. So, could zombies be real, guys? Give me some of your scenarios. If you think there could be a potential zombie apocalypse. Before I get into the Serpent and the Rainbow article that I have here, which gives us a really in-depth detail about the voodoo doctor that brought people back from the dead, believe it or not, the government organization that's called FEMA, who actually helped us during Hurricane Sandy, believe it or not, FEMA was out here when Hurricane Sandy hit. They actually have an article on their website that addresses a zombie apocalypse and actually gives you a whole list, a survival list of what to do in case of a zombie apocalypse. I think it's kind of funny that FEMA has put this on their government website. So to me, if FEMA is putting this on their government website, I think it could be a very good possibility that they think it could happen. So if they think it could happen, why not? So, no to what? Josie, what no to? lagging is still there. Oh no, because it says it's excellent condition on my end. So hopefully it cleared up. I hope. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Find my article here from FEMA. Here we go. This is on FEMA.gov. That's their official website. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. See? FEMA. Alright, from CDC, okay? Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. Okay. This is an editor's note before I read on about it. We wanted to share a blog post from our friends at the Centers for Disease Control. Preparing for a zombie attack or other fictional disaster can provide useful tips to get prepared for a real disaster. The following is an excerpt of the original blog post on the CDC Public Health Matters blog, posted May 16, 2011 by Ali S. Khan. Okay? There are all kinds of emergencies out there. It's lagging. Ugh. Sorry for the lagging, guys. It could be the weather. YouTube says I have an excellent connection. So I don't know why I'm lagging. I'll look into it as best I can during the show. Apologies for that. But again, hopefully it'll clear up on its own. We've had some really bad weather in our area all day. Really bad wind. Been raining all day. It's been really nasty and cold out. So, alright, so I'm going to continue on to read this article. This is on FEMA.gov. Alright? Take a zombie apocalypse, for example. That's right, I said zombie apocalypse. You may laugh now, but when it happens, you'll be happy you read this. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about how to prepare for a real emergency. The rise of zombies in pop culture has given credence to the idea that a zombie apocalypse could happen. In such a scenario, zombies would take over entire countries, roaming city streets, eating anything living that got in their way. The proliferation... Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. The proliferation of this idea has led many people to wonder, how do I prepare for a zombie apocalypse? Well, we're here to answer that question for you and hopefully share a few tips about preparing for a real emergencies tool. Better safe than sorry. So what do you do? What do you need to do before zombies or hurricanes or pandemics, for example, actually happen? First of all, you should have an emergency kit in your house. That's a given. This includes things like water, food, other supplies to get you through the first couple of days before you can locate a zombie-free refuge camp, or in the event of a natural disaster, it will buy you some time until you are able to make your way to an evacuation shelter or utility lines are restored. Below are a few items you should include in your kit. For a full visit the CDC emergency page. Alright, so on the bullet list that they have here, water, 1 gallon per person per day. Food, stock up on non-perishable items that you eat regularly. Medications, this includes prescription and non-prescription meds. Tools and supplies such as utility knife, duct tape, battery-powered radio, etc. Sanitation and hygiene, household bleach, soap, towels, etc. Clothing and bedding, a change of clothes for each family member and blankets. Important documents, copies of your driver's license, passport, and birth certificate, to name a few. First aid supplies. Although you're a goner if a zombie bites you, you can Use these supplies to treat basic cuts and lacerations that you might get during a tornado or hurricane. But if you get bitten by a zombie, kiss your ass goodbye. There's no saving you unless they depending where you get bitten, you can cut off a limb like they do in The Walking Dead. Remember Herschel? He got bit in the leg, so they had to cut his leg off, and he became one-legged Herschel. But they've done it to other people that have been bitten on their limb, and they cut their arm off or hand or whatever, and they still survive. They don't become a zombie because they were fast enough to cut the supply off of where the virus would get into their stream. So that would be another way to survive a zombie apocalypse if you were ever bitten. Depending where you were bitten, just cut off a limb, like they did in the Civil War. When you got shot in the Civil War, they didn't have medicine like in hospitals like they had today. So unfortunately, most soldiers either died or they had to lose a limb. So it's kind of similar to that. Alright, moving along. 1. Identify the types of emergencies that are possible in your area besides a zombie apocalypse. This may include floods, tornadoes, earthquakes. If you are unsure, contact your local Red Cross chapter for more information. Family members meeting by their mailbox. You should pick 2 meeting places, one close to your home and one farther away. I always say that to my family. If there's ever a natural disaster, I always said I think we should have like a prime location for a meeting place for our families to know where to go, God forbid, so we can all reconnect with each other, so we don't lose each other, so that we're in constant communication. Pick a meeting place for your family to regroup in case zombies invade your home or your town evacuates because of a hurricane. Pick one place right outside your home for sudden emergencies, and in one place outside of your neighborhood in case you are unable to return home right away. 3. Identify your emergency contacts. Make a list of all local contacts like the police, fire department, and your local zombie response team. Also, identify an out-of-state contact that you can call during an emergency to let the rest of your family know you are okay. Plan your evacuation route. When zombies are hungry, they won't stop until they get food, which means you need to get out of town fast. Plan where you would go and multiple routes you would take ahead of time so that the flesh eaters don't have a chance. This is also helpful when natural disasters strike and you have to take shelter fast. Other than my wife in the chat room, guys, again, just take a quick minute here. If you're listening or watching, give me quick feedback on video, audio, let me know how it's going. It could be just on our end, your end could be different. Your end could be smoother than here. If it's better for you, let me know either way. That'd be great. Really appreciate it, guys. So, this I read off of the FEMA.gov website. So if FEMA is writing, well, they didn't write it per se, but the CDC wrote it, and they had a blog, and the FEMA.gov website actually shared their blog about the potential of a zombie apocalypse. Now, they didn't really get into detail if they thought, yes, for sure, we would have a zombie apocalypse, but they gave you a rundown on how to prepare, just in case, God forbid, we ever do have zombies chasing us, wanting our brains. Again, I don't think a zombie apocalypse in today's society is going to be like those in horror movies like George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, where the zombies, pop up out of the grave or cemetery, and, people who have been long dead, long time ago, come from the grave, come back from the dead, from the grave. I don't think it's that. I think there could be like a virus type of thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying coronavirus. I'm just saying there are other types of viruses that are potentially could cause a zombie apocalypse. Just saying. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. It's a possibility. So, alright. Going into my notes here. Alright, so, guys, if you're joining us late, the topic for tonight's show is, could zombies be real? Alright, back in the 80s, late 80s, Bill Pullman started a movie called The Serpent and the Rainbow, based off of true events that took place by a voodoo doctor that tried to bring people back from the dead to cure them of some kind of disease or viruses or things that they had that they couldn't get rid of, and put them in a trance dead-like state. They were pronounced dead at the scene at the time of this ritual, and they said these people came back from the dead and the disease went away. Alright, so I'm going to get into the story that inspired the iconic horror movie The Serpent and the Rainbow, starring Bill Pullman. I'm not sure where it's available. You can check your local listing, if it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or, one of those. I'm sure you can find it streaming somehow. You could probably even find it on YouTube. Who knows? Alright. So, this article was written by David Ian McKendry, so I'm giving him credit for the article. He's the one who wrote it back in February 17th, 2016. Alright, in 1988, so there's the date, 1988 horror movie legend Wes Craven, big fan of Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, just to name a couple. He brought the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow to the big screen. It is the story of an anthropologist, Dennis Allen, who travels to Haiti to seek out a drug used in voodoo rituals to turn men into zombies. Once in Haiti, he finds a man called Christophe, who had mysteriously died, only to return days later, being buried. The storyline comes from the book of the same name by ethnobotanist Wade Davis, who traveled to Haiti to research the real case of Clairvius, his last name Narcisse, Narcy, a supposedly real zombie. Alright. You guys still with me? Okay, good. You didn't turn into a zombie yet. Okay, good. Alright. You're okay. Feeling under the weather, Clairvius checked into a local hospital way back in 1962. Upon arrival, Clairvius began experiencing a host of ailments, including a fever, trouble breathing, and what he claimed were bugs crawling all over his skin. It wasn't too long after that the doctors pronounced him dead. Clairvius was buried a few days later. Everyone would have thought that by the end of the story, until one day in 1981, when Angelina Narcisse, or I'm not even going to pronounce it. I'll just say her first name. When Angelina, Clairvius' sister, saw him walking down the street, a bizarre task, considering not one, but two American doctors had declared him dead back in 1962. So see, two American doctors declared him dead back in 1962. Then he was later walking the streets in 1981. So let's do the math here. So 1970 to 1980, that's 10 years. That's like 13, 14 years later. Holy cow. Wade Davis' real journey through Haiti introduced him to a type of black magic priest called a Bukor. The Bukors are said to possess the unique power of bringing the dead back as zombie slaves. In Clairvius' case, it was believed that a Bukor placed him into a trance that fooled doctors into believing that he was dead. Once buried, the Bukor dug up his body and sold him to a sugar plantation as a zombie slave labor. Through his research, Davis believed that Clairvius was given tetrodotoxin, a powder, through an abrasion on his skin. The powerful toxin from the puffer fish would have sent Clairvius into a comatose state, which would have fooled doctors into believing he was dead. In addition to the pufferfish toxin, Davis also found that datura, a powerful hallucinogen, along with ground-up human bone, were also common ingredients in zombie powder. Davis concluded that the tetrodotoxin was key in causing a victim's initial death, but it was datura which produced the amnesia and delirium, which then maintained them as zombies for decades. The real-life story became basis for Wes Craven's magnificent voodoo movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow. Wes Craven's a great director for horror movies. He was big with Scream, and of course, Nightmare on Elm Street was a great franchise in movie theaters. So I'm a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven's a great horror director. So I would definitely go recommend seeing the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow. I'm going to go rewatch it myself after tonight's episode. It'll probably keep me up all night thinking about zombies, or probably give me nightmares. I don't know, one or the other. So I'm gonna ask my wife one more time, baby, did we clear up at all? Because it's been saying that I've had an excellent connection the whole entire time. So I'm hoping it cleared up. Guys, one way or another, just let me know. It's hard to watch live. Otherwise, audio and video would be much worse. So, guys, if you're joining us late, the topic for tonight's show, episode number 6 of the Strange Oddities podcast, we've been talking about, could zombies be real? I read you a whole blog from the actual FEMA.gov website. You could Google it. That's all I did. I just Googled, did the government answer if the possibility there could be a zombie apocalypse, and I discovered the article all by myself. I'm a very good researcher. That's what I have to do when I do a podcast. I have to do my homework. When I have a guest, I have to do my homework. Oh, she said no. Okay. Well, again, apologies for the video. If anybody else is experiencing difficulties with tonight's podcast, I'll have to look into what's going on. We'll have to check back and see how it is in the review. Alright, guys, if you missed my news and announcements for upcoming guests, I know my microphone was muted on during our news and announcements kind of segment that we did yesterday with my wife. That was my fault. I accidentally muted my own microphone and didn't put it back on, and realized it after we did the show. That happens. That's a human error, not a technical error. I don't care how long you've been doing this, you still, end up making those kind of mistakes. But I do promise that those mistakes will not happen when I have guests on the show. Anyway, upcoming guests on May 7th, guys. I'm real excited to have Ken Gerhard, veteran cryptozoologist. He's been on numerous TV shows on National Geographic Channel, History Channel. He's been on Monster Quest, quite a few documentaries about cryptozoology, Bigfoot. I know he's got a passion for researching Bigfoot. I think that's how he started out, as a researcher and cryptozoologist. His passion for being a Bigfoot hunter. He's also into other research, flying humanoids, mysterious beasts. He's got a few books out under those titles, so I highly recommend them. I'm excited because I get I get my own signed copy of Mysterious Beasts, which I do plan on receiving soon, and I will be reading it. I can't wait for getting his book. So I'm real excited to have Ken Gerhard. I've known him for a while. I'm actually an avid follower of his and his work as a cryptozoologist and as a public figure in that field. He's a TV personality in that field, and I have interviewed him in the past once or twice, and they were really good interviews before, so I think you guys will really, really love the interview that I plan on doing May 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's next Thursday, not this, obviously not tonight, next week, next Thursday, May 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to have Ken Gerhard as a guest. The following week, so 2 weeks from this week, I'm going to have the pleasure of having Seth Breedlove, a filmmaker of the Kickstarter project called Small Town Monsters. Also kind of dives into cryptozoology and cryptids in small towns all over the country. And we're going to get into some of the work that Seth has been doing with Small Town Monsters. And I'm a big fan of their work and their documentaries and short films. Really good work. I really recommend you check them out. It's called Small Town Monsters. You can look them up on Facebook. They put up a whole bunch of information about their documentaries, about all the cryptids that they research and film. They film eyewitnesses, they do investigations and all that kind of stuff. It's really neat what they do. So I can't wait. May 14th at 8 p.m. Seth Breedlove of Small Town Monsters. He's a filmmaker. Can't wait to have him on as a guest. Alright? Those are my two upcoming guests for the next 2 weeks. Hope you're as excited as I am, because I know I am. So I will have guests from time to time. The other announcement that, in case you guys, you guys couldn't listen to me on the news that I had announced, because my microphone was muted. But the other news that I announced was I do plan on integrating a few free, you heard it correctly, free advertisement slots on my podcast or during my podcast. Alright, it's going to help me, it's going to help you, it's an opportunity for you and your company and your products. Guys, if you have books that you've written, if you're an author, in the subject of strange oddities or the paranormal, supernatural, anything in that kind of subject, if it fits into this genre of podcast, then this may interest you. So I'm offering an advertising spot on my podcast, like a few second audio clip, a commercial, so to speak, presenting your company or your product. And in return, all I ask and request is that you share my product, the Strange Oddities podcast, and share it out there in the field, wherever you can. Just put out a good word, put out a shout out for the Strange Oddities podcast. And I think honestly that's a win-win situation for everybody. I think it's a fair deal. I'm not asking for money, and I'm not gonna ask them anything they don't want to do. The only thing I ask on your end is you guys put together a few second audio clip on your own, sell yourself, sound exciting, whatever it is you want to put together as a commercial or advertisement, and as long as it's like an MP3 format or a WAV format, and give me an image of your product with maybe a logo or something, and a brief description in the commercial of your product, and there you go. We have your advertising on my podcast. And again, like I said, believe it or not, it helps hosts during the show. I can talk to my guests privately. I can go off the air for a little bit, do something, off screen if I have to do something quickly. And so advertisements do help in the long run. It's a win-win for everybody. So if you're interested in free advertising on my podcast, I do expect my numbers and my viewers to grow in a very short period of time, it's grown already. I'm getting at least 20 to 30 viewers each episode, which is really, really good for a start of a new show. It's going to grow fast, so I would get in on it now. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not selling you crack here. All right. I think it's a win-win. If you're interested, email me, strangeodditiespodcast@gmail.com. All right. Look me up on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook. Strange Oddities Podcast has a Facebook page. You can also contact me through the website, Strange Oddities Podcast /WordPress.com. I know I sound like an infomercial right now. I'm on fire here. Hopefully the video cleared up. About 40 minutes in here already. 8:30. Guys, if you're joining us late, episode number 6 topic tonight, could zombies be real? Anybody a fan of The Walking Dead? My wife and I are big fans of The Walking Dead. Yeah, it's a shame what happened with everything. They can't finish out the season finale of season 10. I think there was an announcement by them, by the filmmakers of The Walking Dead, that they're going to air and broadcast the season finale of season 10 at a later date. Due to the pandemic situation, they couldn't exactly finish filming, which kind of sucks, because we were almost there. We were at that almost that last episode of season 10, which was a nail biter. With Michonne, I think Michonne's, the actor, is leaving the show. I think she's moving on to future endeavors. I know she's into other things other than acting. So I do think she's planning on leaving the show, and I think this is maybe their way of writing her off, by her going to go find Rick, because they got clues and evidence that possibly he could be still alive. So I hope he is. I hope they bring him back. Rick Grimes was a great character for the show. I love the character, where he transformed from the very beginning of the show to being a very different Rick at the end of the show. So I do think at some point he will come back. I mean, he was the show, so I don't think that will not happen. So anyway, Night of the Living Dead, classic zombie-like horror movies. The original black and white, George Romero. There was a remake. The remake was terrible. It was more of a comedy to them. I didn't really care for the remake. I thought it was like poor taste in, as far as the original classic black and white. There was quite a few good zombie movies. The new one with Woody Harrelson. I just saw the sequel to Zombieland. I saw Zombieland, the first one. That was funny as shit. That movie cracked me up. It's got, warped sense of humor in there. But, if you like warped sense of humor, it is really funny. It's really good. I'm a big fan of Woody Harrelson. I think he's very funny. I think you guys would like it. So, another great movie, if I have the name correctly, with Brad Pitt, World War Z, or War Z, something to that effect, with Brad Pitt. I saw that. Again, not your typical, zombie come from the grave cemetery type deal. It was a virus outbreak that turned people into zombies, and they were more aggressive, more like a rage kind of type of thing, just like in 28 Days Later. They were aggressive, and they just were very strong, very fast. They didn't just roam around like this, and I want your brains, wasn't anything like that. So, that's what I didn't like about the remake of Night of the Living Dead, because that's all they did was eat brains, in the original black and white, they didn't eat brains, they just ate you. So that was a twist to the remake, and I thought that was very stupid. So they were going to eat you, they're just going to eat you. Why would they just want your brains? So anyway, not like it's going to make them smarter. How would you survive a zombie apocalypse, guys? Did I miss anything on the FEMA.gov website? They have a list there. You can Google it. It's there. It's a real thing. I'll show it to you guys again. I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen. Let me bring it up here again. Alright, here it is. FEMA. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, here it is. From CDC Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. Okay, and it gives you a rundown of what to be prepared for, both in a natural disaster situation, pandemic, or zombie apocalypse situation. So, guys, what would you do in a zombie apocalypse situation? Would you be scared shitless? Would you run and hide? Would you attack them back? I know I would go to armory. I would try to find weapons, and I would grab as many weapons as possible, as much ammo as possible. I know in some of these zombie you're not even, you know what? I just saw on my screen. You're not gonna see it, but I assure you, because the screen looks like it glowed on the screen back to you guys. You're probably not gonna see what I just showed you. So anyway, my niece is in archery, and I mentioned this before a couple of times. She's very good in archery, and she knows how to use a bow and arrow very well. And she's a lot like Daryl. And she's got great aim. She's won a lot of competitions, and she actually does competitions all over the tri-state area. She's gone as far as Massachusetts. So I would totally take my niece with me if there was a zombie apocalypse. I would have my my in-laws, because my niece is from daughter of my brother-in-law and my sister's sister. So hey, what's up, Ron and Lourdes, watching the show? They just joined us late in the chat room. Gagnac Paranormal. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Miss you guys. Hope all is well with you guys too. In case you guys are tuning in late, which obviously you are, the topic for tonight's show is, could zombies be real? I just read a blog, an article, actually, that the FEMA.gov government website posted by the CDC government officials actually put a blog on how to put together a survival list or kit in case of a zombie apocalypse. So, that's what we're talking about. And I also kind of discussed earlier in the show the iconic classic horror movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow, with Bill Pullman. Was about a voodoo doctor that put people in a trance state, brought people back from the dead, but actually was a powder or some kind of substance that they put together with actual human bone and some other toxins that they put together, and they fooled people into thinking that the person was actually dead. And the guy that was used for the ritual, this happened during 1962, and almost 15 years later, in the early 1980s, his sister saw this guy that they thought was dead walking the streets. So he, years later, came back from the dead walking the streets like he's okay. Like, wow. No. That's what we've been talking about, guys. Can zombies be real? If the government says so, I say why not? The possibility is there. With all the shit that goes on in this world, I wouldn't put anything past it. I really wouldn't. I don't think it's going to be a zombie apocalypse like in horror movies where they come back from the grave, but I do think that it's a possibility that there could be a bad virus or an outbreak where people could turn into this rage zombie-like state and, attack people and hurt people, and that's, to me, is more realistic than a, come back from the grave type of zombie that we all grew up knowing. like I said earlier in the show, my wife and I had the really great, distinctive pleasure of meeting director George A. Romero, the original director of Night of the Living Dead, the black and white classic. Um, and all actually, I think he was connected to most of the Night of the Living Dead remakes. I believe he had a hand in them also. But yeah, we had a really good time meeting him. Took a picture of him. I think I shared it on my Facebook page. Josie my wife looks so tiny compared to him. He's such a tall man, and he's got like glasses that are like freaking huge. They're like twice the size of his head, which I think is pretty funny. Yeah, so George A. Romero was a really good director in horror. He had a really interesting fascination of zombies, and I think his depiction of zombies, for its time, was good. So, yeah. Well, yeah. If the government says so, then it must be true. Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm just saying, why not? If they have it up there, maybe they're preparing for something themselves. I mean, according to some people, the shit right now has been drummed up by them too. So, I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. Anything's possible. Alright, so we're getting down to the wire. I also am a big fan of the movie 28 Days Later. I wanted to look up real quick because I couldn't remember the name of it, guys. Was it World War Z? With Brad Pitt. Let me see. World War Z movie. Yeah. World Z. Yeah, World Z was the title with Brad Pitt. I liked it a lot. I thought it was more realistic than any other zombie movie or show. It aired back in 2013. Directed by Mark Forster. Screenplay by Matthew Michael Carnahan. Trying to find a little quick synopsis. Here we go. Brad Pitt's. Here we go. Plot. That's what I was looking for. Alright. Former UN employee Jerry Lane, his wife Karen, and their two daughters are in heavy Philadelphia traffic when the city is overrun by zombies that are attracted to sound. As chaos spreads, the Lanes escape to Newark, New Jersey, and take refuge in an apartment home to a couple with a young son, Tommy. UN Deputy Secretary General Thierry Umutani, if I pronounce that correctly, an old friend of Jerry's, sends a helicopter that extracts the Lanes and Tommy to a U.S. Navy vessel in the Atlantic Ocean, where scientists and military personnel are analyzing the worldwide outbreak. Andrew Fosbach, a young virologist, okay, I think I said that right, posits that the plague is a virus, that the development of a vaccine depends on finding the origin. Jerry agrees to help Fosbach find the outbreak source after it is made clear that the Lanes will be removed from the cramped ship if he is not of use. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed War Z. It was really good. Very different role for Brad Pitt. He's mostly doing a lot of big dramatic movies. Like World War kind of movies and roles, and like serious roles. I mean, it was kind of a serious zombie movie, but I thought it was done very well in that aspect. But it was different, I think it was more realistic than any other thing. Another really good movie with Will Smith, I Am Legend. That came out quite a few years ago. He was also, I believe, in the medical field, and he was trying to come up with a cure as he had captured, I think, a human that was infected by this virus. That again, it was another outbreak, like a rage type of virus that turned people, and I don't know what that means. Just looking at the chat room. I Am Legend. Yeah. I Am Legend was a great movie. Will Smith. It sucks that his dog died in the movie. He had a German Shepherd that was his friend. And that was a great zombie movie. Very realistic. The zombies looked a little fake. They were kind of like computer generated, maybe CGI a little bit. But the plot and the idea of that type of zombie apocalypse was more realistic too. So it was along the lines of the same thing of Brad Pitt's movie World War Z, or War Z, if I have that correctly. I have to rewatch that movie again. That was a great movie with Brad Pitt. Again, very different role, both for Will Smith and Brad Pitt. I Am Legend was a great movie. So, got 10 minutes left, guys. Again, please subscribe to the show. I can't stress enough. You'll know when upcoming live videos are coming. If I'm doing a special video segment other than a regular episode. Top right screen of the YouTube channel, there's a little bell. Just hit that little bell at the top right screen. That'll get you to subscribe to the show. It's absolutely free. Give me a shout out. Please share my podcast if you don't mind. If you enjoy it, get it out there. It's growing in a very short period of time. I feel it is. The numbers are growing in just a few episodes. I have some really big guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. I have veteran cryptozoologist Ken Gerhard is going to be on my show May 7th. I'm excited to have him, and of course the following week I have filmmaker Seth Breedlove of Small Town Monsters, Kickstarter project and a film organization that does documentaries on cryptids in small towns. Guys, I'm gonna have more guests coming up. If you would like to be a guest on my show, if it falls in the realm of strange things, this is your podcast for strange things. That's my tagline. Feel free to email me, strangeodditiespodcast@gmail.com. Pretty easy to remember. Hit me up. Guys, give me feedback on the show, if you like it or not, on the topics, if you enjoy them. Feedback is great, means a lot to me. Despite what other people say, I do welcome constructive criticism, as long as it's kind and professional. I don't care for people cursing me out, per se. Anyway, guys, I hope everybody's doing well. It looks like we may be reopening the country very soon. I can't wait for things to get back to normal myself. Going a little cabin fever. At least I go to work a few days a week. At least I have something to do. And, I don't know. So, I'm looking forward to getting back to normal, getting back out there. I'm having ghost hunting withdrawals very badly. I miss ghost hunting. That's another thing I do. For those who aren't familiar with me, I'm a director and case manager of a paranormal team called Island Paranormal Society. You can visit our website at islandparanormalsociety.com. We do public investigations and events in the tri-state area. We will list the events on our webpage when they're ready, up and running. Our events are really fun. I believe that we're entertaining. We try to keep it real. We try to be fun and be ourselves, and we want our audience or attendees to also get the full their full experience in what an investigation would be like with us. And I think we bring that to the table at our event. At least I like to think that. with my sense of humor. My team is a lot of fun, and our events are really good, and it also helps the historic locations. So a lot of the proceeds that we do, one of my passions for being in the paranormal is saving historic locations, because a lot of locations don't have the funds from the state or the county or the town, whoever owns them, whoever oversees them. They have to, fund. They have to come up with their own ways of coming up with money, and the paranormal is one avenue for them that they could do that. So a lot of the proceeds do go to, the historic locations for renovation, upkeep, maintenance, and stuff like that, because that stuff costs a lot, and especially trying to keep up with old locations, because there's guidelines and protocol that they have to follow within state law for historic locations as well, and that can be costly. And that also helps them keep the electric going too. They don't make a lot of money on their own, and that's what we like to try to do. We try to help them along. So, if you're ever interested in Island Paranormal Society events, just go to our website, islandparanormalsociety.com. Pretty easy to remember. There's nothing up there right now because of the pandemic, but I'm hoping to get things going real soon. We will be participating in National Ghost Hunting Day, and we also have a big public Halloween party that will take place in October on Halloween, because this year Halloween falls on a Saturday, which is great. I actually get to have a Halloween party on a Saturday. I'm excited because that's rare when that happens. It's been a while since Halloween has been on a Saturday. But the public will actually get to participate in our Island Paranormal Society Halloween party at Historic Kingsland Manor in New Jersey, in Nutley, New Jersey. So that's another reason why to be up on current events and news and announcements on our Facebook page. We also have a Facebook page, Island Paranormal Society is on Facebook. Check us out. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Getting near the end, last few minutes of the show. Guys, could zombies be real? I don't know. It's a possibility. With all the shit that goes on in the world. Just all I can say is be prepared. Have a survival kit ready in your house. Have a emergency family meeting spot. Just do what the FEMA website suggested. Go to FEMA.gov. They have an article if you're really curious about what kind of survival kit they have. They have a really good list. Just basic necessity. And non-perishable food. All those types of good stuff. Keep you guys going. Alright, so hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks everybody for tuning in, those who tuned in. Apologies for the video if it was any lagging throughout the show. We've had some bad weather. Hopefully it cleared up later on in the show. It may just be our end. Hopefully for you guys it was a better, smooth video. But anyway, guys, have a great night. Be well. Stay safe. Hopefully we'll be back to normal soon. Alright? All good energy and all my good prayers go out to all my friends and family. Guys, thank you for watching the show.